What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be going over the most asked question I get pretty much on a daily basis. If not, I get asked this question at least 3 to 5 times per week. And that question is, what should my rates be? This is such an interesting question because this is probably the most frustrating question to get asked. It's probably the most interesting question to get asked, and it's the most difficult to answer because there are so many factors that go into this question. So in this video, I kind of want to break down all of those factors and benchmarks that might affect the way you might price something, and just kind of talk what should your rates be. And I'm going to be talking over a bunch of different topics. So I'm just going to read off a few benchmarks that I wrote down and stuff that I want to touch on throughout this video. And then I will also put timestamps right up here. So if you'd like to skip ahead to any portion of the video, you can. So I'm going to be talking about first-time jobs, photo jobs versus video jobs versus social promotion jobs, or a combination of the three. Your experience level, will it help your portfolio? Are there perks that outweigh less pay or no pay at all? Trade-offs, is the time investment worth the pay? Calculating rates by hour, day, or job, asking clients to provide a budget, when to work for free, affiliate programs, when to charge less, when to charge more, when to increase your rates, how audience size affects rates, potential additional budgets for outsourcing, and wrapping things up with why there's no one size fits all. It might sound like this is going to be a totally loaded video, but I'm going to try to keep each of these short and concise and just to the point. Alright, so just to start things off, first-time jobs. And let's just be honest, if you just bought a camera, whether you're interested in photography, making videos, or both, most of the people that are going to be asking you for things in the beginning are going to be your friends and your family. They're going to be people who you told that you just bought a camera, and as you're learning stuff, they're going to want to see what you can do. And so many people want photos and videos now for just so many reasons that the first people that are going to reach out to you are going to be people that know you and are close to you. So what should you charge for first-time jobs? In my opinion, unless you really know what you're doing, you shouldn't be charging, and you should just be taking every opportunity as practice. All these first-time jobs are probably going to be over a different range of subjects and stuff based on your friends and family having a bunch of different hobbies and passions and stuff like that. So most of these jobs for you are just going to be a huge time to practice and learn new skills, be exposed to new things, and then at the end your friend or family will just get some photos or videos, whether they're really good or really bad. At the end of the day, this is just a learning experience, so I don't recommend charging in the beginning for stuff like that. However, these friends and family will likely, if they like what you've done for them, they're going to show their friends and their families, and then this is just kind of going to go repeat like a little domino effect. From this, you should be able to get some jobs where you can actually charge and actually make some money. Alright, so the next topic I want to talk about is your experience level. So, as you're doing these jobs for your friends and your family, you're going to be learning pretty quick. Photography and making video builds on itself very quickly, so a lot of these skills and a lot of things you've been practicing will kind of develop relatively quickly. In the beginning, you just got to think your experience level. If you do some photos for free for a friend, but then they tell their friend and they come to you, just charge whatever you think it's worth. In the beginning, there's some jobs that I would just do for like $50 or like $100, or if it was a really big thing, like $200. Because in the beginning, even at this point, I still didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but I did have a handful of practice. So honestly, at this point, it was just cool to be getting paid at all. But yeah, just take your experience level into factor. In the beginning, your first paid jobs, after you've done maybe some free jobs, maybe 50, 100, 200, and then once you get kind of more knowledgeable, you'll see that this number will slowly increase, and as you get better and as you have more offers and more leads, you'll be able to charge more and more, and then up to $500, $1,000 a day or something like that. The next thing I want to talk about is, just ask yourself, will this job, whether free or paid, help your portfolio? The reason I say that this is an important benchmark for finding out what your rate should be is, if I get an offer to shoot a luxury $2 million home down in Annapolis, let's say, and I really want to build a strong, real estate portfolio, then honestly, if the person's like, hey, I don't have much money for this, can you just do it for $50? Of course, you're gonna, if I was trying to build a portfolio for that, I would say yes, even if normally, you would charge $200 or $300 for something like this. So anytime that you can ask yourself, will this help my personal portfolio? And the answer is yes. I would be okay with lowering your rates. Unless it's like a huge benefit to your portfolio, don't turn it into a free job, but be okay with lowering just a little bit and kind of budging with the client. All right, next up, I want to talk about trade-offs. And this is something where if you're doing photo and video as a service, instead of getting pay in the form of like whatever rate you're going to charge, you'll get a trade-off, for example, like a hotel or a backpack. So, recently a backpack company reached out to me. They're like, hey, we want to send you a backpack. We don't have a paid campaign yet, but we just want to send you one kind of as support, and then we'll see how things grow from there. Normally, I would say something like, at this point, I'm only taking paid jobs. However, my camera bag is falling apart. Like, there's holes in it. It's not waterproof really anymore because of all the holes, and it's just falling apart because I just carry way too many things in it. So at this point, I was like, oh, well, they were talking about something down the line, and like a nice, really solid, durable camera bag. Why not? Like, yeah, of course. So for me, this was a nice trade-off because at the moment I need a camera bag and I don't want to drop a few hundred on it. And similarly, I'll bring up this job I did in the Maldives where it wasn't paid, I didn't make a dime off of it, but I went to the freaking Maldives and I stayed in like the dopest hotel ever. So the trade-off of this was the perks were just unbelievable to where I didn't care if I made a single dollar, and it was just the trade-off was so big. And normally for all the content that I delivered, I probably would have charged around $5,000, but because the trade-off was so big, I didn't care about getting paid at all for that job. This kind of piggybacks off my next point, and that is, if there are perks, do they outweigh the kind of justification for less pay or no pay? For example, the Maldives example, like, of course those perks outweighed getting paid nothing. Like, I probably would have paid to be there. And I just didn't care. But let's say I'm doing a video job for a barber and they want like 5-minute videos. And let's say you quote them like $2,000, but then they'll say, we'll give you free haircuts for 2 months and we'll give you $500. Like, for me, that perk wouldn't outweigh the benefit. So that's probably a super weird example, but you just have to think, do the perks outweigh less pay or do they outweigh no pay at all? And you just kind of have to make the decision on that one. All right, so next I want to be talking about calculating your rates on an hourly basis, on kind of a day rate basis, and then kind of a per project basis. So first off, if you're going to calculate your rates by hour, whatever way you end up doing it is, up to you at the end of the day. I don't think I've ever done a job where I've layered out an invoice by the hour. I know some people have done that based on the time they spent shooting, driving to locations, and then the time they spent editing. They'll have a different rate for each. So let's just say, for example, you're gonna structure how to get paid in this way. So in Maryland, at least where I am, the minimum wage is $10.10. I'm just gonna round that down to $10 just for purposes of math. So if I'm gonna go work a job and I work 10 hours, that would be $100 pay in the state of Maryland if I'm making minimum wage. Not even including taxes or anything like that. In reality, that would be more like $55 to $65 after tax and kind of your take home. But let's just think, if you're gonna do a photo job and you're gonna calculate it by the hour, it's gonna take you 5 hours to shoot, 1 hour of driving, and 4 hours of editing, then you should definitely calculate it so you're at least making minimum wage. Whether you wanna keep it at minimum wage, or let's say you wanna charge, $20 an hour for shooting, $10 an hour for driving because you're just driving, and then $25 an hour for editing. That is up to you, but just kind of keep some factors in mind, like a minimum wage and stuff like that. Just keep those factors in mind, like minimum wage in your state, and then factor in like a shooting rate, a driving rate or logistics, whatever that may be, and an editing rate, and then kind of take it from there. Piggybacking on this, I want to talk about calculating your rates on a day rate. So I have done this actually for a lot of jobs. Most of my travel jobs, which is the majority of my work, is based on a package, which I'll talk over next. But anytime I do a conference or a gala or event type things, I will charge based on the day. And I'll either do a full day rate or a half day rate. And in the beginning, I was doing, I think it was $200 for full day and $100 for half day. Half day is like 4 or 5 hours, full day, I think, whatever you want to call it, 8 to 12 hours. And then slowly this increased over the years of shooting conferences and stuff to where it was like 400 full day, 200 half day, 600 full day, 300 or 400 half day. And now for conferences and stuff like that, I'm typically charging about $800 for a full day or $400 for a half day. But then there's certain clients, where I'm working around the clock and I'm not going to charge more for that. I'm just going to kind of stick with that standard. It is what it is, to each their own. At the end of the day, when I was working at the restaurants and I had a double shift, whether it was 8 hours all the way up to 12 hours, I would make anywhere from like $110 to, $280. So if I'm going to be making $800 on a full day, whatever the hours may be, that's a good payday, especially because a lot of conferences I do are multi-day events. So I would normally get this rate from anywhere from 3 to 7 days. And lastly, I'm going to be talking about calculating your rates based on the job or based on just kind of a bundle of things. And I think that this is the best way for jobs that have a lot of moving pieces. And by that, I mean, a client wants 10 photos, 2 TikTok videos, an Instagram 60-second video, 3 Instagram stories promoting their brand or whatever, and just stuff like this, like a lot of moving pieces. I think the best way to package this is as a bundle, and the way I'll calculate that is, what I charge for each piece of those, and then I'll discount them all and kind of bundle them together because, the more work I'm getting, the more I'm like happy to discount it. So let's say I'm doing $100 per photo, $500 per 15-second video, $1,000 for a 60-second video, and then let's say I'm doing, $250 per Instagram story. I would add all of those up based on the quantity the client wants, and then I would just discount that final price to get whatever I would quote the company. And this works out pretty good. All right, so next up, and this is for people that kind of do a little bit of everything. So for me, I do photography, I do filmmaking, and I also do some social promotion type stuff on Instagram. So as far as charging for this, what I like to do is I like to ask the company for a budget, and then from there it's like, okay, do you want photos? Do you want videos? Or do you want social promotion? And likely I will kind of bundle all of these together and price it out based on a package deal, opposed to just kind of like one photo is this, one 10-second video is this much, and one Instagram post is this much. So I'll just kind of like to bundle that out, but those are normally the best deals when companies want a mixture of everything. Normally it's a little bit bigger budgets, and most of these are normally for more than just 1 month or just kind of like a one-off quick job. All right, next up, the easiest gigs to get are ones where you'll just get free merchandise or affiliate programs, stuff like that. I take all of these with a grain of salt. In the very beginning of my photo video career, I would agree to these things, but now I kind of outweigh the pros and cons and then make a decision based on that. So, if a company sends me 2 $20 t-shirts and they want like 25 photos or something like that, I'll just say, thank you for reaching out, but I'm okay. But let's say a company like DJI reaches out and they're like, hey, we want to give you a new drone every time we drop a new drone. We can't pay you, but we just want you to tag DJI in all of your posts across all your social platforms. I would take that in a heartbeat just because it's something I use and I love. It's something that I will be using for as long as I can in picture. So just kind of take it on a case-by-case basis and kind of weigh the pros and cons of each. And as far as the affiliate programs, a lot of them are just trash. Like they'll reach out and they'll say, you can buy a shirt for $20 and then rep that shirt and then use this code and we'll give you like $2 for every sale you make as a commission. And I think that's just a waste of time. I would never do that. There are some things where the affiliate programs will pay out a large portion, or if it's something that's super on brand with you and people in your following would like just as much as you, then I would take it in those circumstances, but definitely kind of like see what the details are of it first. And just real quick, I want to touch on when to charge less, and that would be when it helps your portfolio, when it helps your personal brand, when you can multi-purpose the footage from the job, it's like non-exclusive or something like that, or when the perks are just really, really awesome. And when to charge more is when you just don't want to do something. Like if you have, let's say, a ton of offers coming in and you don't want to do half of them because let's say they're weddings or something like that and you just want to be doing travel stuff, then I would crank up my wedding prices because I don't want to do them. I just want to be doing travel stuff. But if someone's willing to pay a certain amount over here for a wedding, like at the end of the day, I'm gonna do it because of the money, but I really want to be focusing my time on jobs I would love doing. rather than just having like a payday. And also adding to that, a good time to kind of increase your general rates just as a whole is when you have too many offers coming in and not enough time to take all of these offers. It's just kind of like when you have a lot of offers coming in and not enough time to take all of these offers or these jobs. That's a good rule of thumb to kind of increase your prices, and that's just simple supply and demand. Also, there's some jobs, if you're gonna be doing a high production value type job where you might want to outsource something, and if that's the case, it's probably in your best interest to talk to the client about that prior to and see if they can kind of supply you with a budget for outsourcing. So let's say I got a job for $5,000 to make three-minute videos, like very high production value type videos. And let's say I wanted to hire a really good editor just so I know these videos are top notch and worth the money that I'm receiving. I could talk to them and be like, hey, I've got this incredible editor. He's gonna charge me $1,000. Is that okay with you if we add kind of an outsourcing budget? Or at the end of the day, if you don't wanna ask that, you just have to weigh the pros and cons of if it's worth you to take that out of your own pocket to make the production value better. And also, I just wanna touch on audience size and affecting your rates. Casey Neistat did a video on this, touching on this subject, really, really nice. But if you have 500,000 followers, let's say, for example, in the backpacking niche, like really hardcore, gnarly, multi-day hikes where you have a lot of backpacking equipment, stuff like that. If you have an audience of say like 500,000 people in that niche, you're gonna have a really, really valuable audience for certain brands. And especially a lot of outdoor stuff is super expensive. So a lot of brands will be reaching out to you. And this is the point where, I'm not there, but I know that people with followings of that magnitude and of that size charge quite a bit of money for advertisements and sponsored stuff like that. But it makes sense because you have to figure, like, for example, Coca-Cola spends millions and millions and millions of dollars, and big brands like this, on TV commercials when no one's even watching TV anymore. And the few people that are watching TV, when a commercial comes on, they just go right on this thing. So it makes sense because on the TV commercials, they're thinking of how many people they're gonna hit, but now you can just go right to these influencers and creators with a certain following, and especially because they're extra niched. And that is kind of why when your audience gets to a certain level, your rates just kind of go like this. So this has been a huge mouthful, and you're probably like, wow, there's so much I didn't even think about. But to be honest, this is just why there's no one size fits all. There's so many factors and benchmarks that affect your rates. And to be honest, when you start, it should be free and it should be nothing. But then as you kind of go along, you'll go from making no money to 100, 200, to 500, to 750, to 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. And then if you keep going, the sky's the limit. When you're putting together your rates, I would just put all these factors in. There's not an exact calculator to figure this out. But all of these factors will affect the price that you end up giving at the end of the day to your clients. Your rates are an ever-changing thing. They're always going to be evolving and getting higher and different. So just to wrap things up, just don't sell yourself short. It only hurts you and kind of the whole field of creators in general if you sell yourself short. Also, at the same time, don't overquote yourself or overprice yourself. Like, if I'm getting $1,000, I want to make sure I can give $1,000 worth of value, whether it's photos, videos, or promotion. And if I'm getting $10,000, I want to make sure I can provide $10,000 worth of value. So if you're going to be quoting, just make sure it's not too low but not too high, and just kind of in that sweet spot. And everyone's rates are different. There's always going to be those people that overprice themselves, and those people that kind of sell themselves short. And then there's also going to be those that kind of try to undercut the competition by offering lower prices. But at the end of the day, you just kind of have to balance all of these factors that I talked about, and then just create the best rates that kind of fit you and what you do and what you're going to be offering. Anyways, I hope this video gave you some good insights to what your rates should be. If you have any questions or anything, please leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.